Preparing for this sermon, I felt a little like Ezekiel as he walked around the valley full of dry bones. I did everything I have ever done previously when preparing my thoughts to share with you. I read all the background information in the book called Feasting on the Word. I downloaded a sermon resource from the United Church of Christ, and I checked out 8 sermons written previously on these lessons on the Episcopal website, Sermons at Work. For a long time, the only connection that seemed to stir my spirit or imagination was dumb bones, dry bones, which kept popping into my head. Then I started thinking about today's readings in relation to our Lenten study. For the last 3 Wednesdays, after enjoying delicious, wholesome soups, tasty, nutritious salads, and mouth-watering, decadent desserts, we've been watching a short video and having a discussion about God. The main goal of our study this year is to help us become more aware of our experiences of God and more comfortable sharing them with others. We are guided by a review of our homework, in addition to some discussion questions, and are learning much about ourselves and each other. One of our group guidelines, what's said in the fellowship hall stays in the fellowship hall, prevents me from revealing much more. But please know you're more than welcome to join us the next 2 Wednesdays. I would like, however, to explore some of the insights that have been helped to discover and then relate them to what we heard today in our scripture readings. In the first video of Speaking Our Faith, the Reverend Kit Carlson of our own diocese presented her view that our faith in God is the most important thing that we have, and that faith is life, the life-giving water that keeps us going. Our group talked about why it may be difficult for us to share our faith in God with others, such as not having the words to quite describe our experiences with God, or not really understanding our own relationship with God, including what we truly believe. Sharing such intimate details of oneself can make one very vulnerable and open to judgment. For homework, we were asked to make a timeline of our lives and our relationship with God. The next week, we were invited to share what we had learned from that experience. In retrospect, most of us share experiences of church, not of God. I believe the world today is desperate to hear about our life-giving relationships with God, while we're more apt to share with others why we love our church. God infused life into the bones in the lesson from Ezekiel, and Christ gave new life to Lazarus in the gospel reading from John. Paul describes a difference between living a life guided by the Spirit from a life grounded in the whims of the world. Those of us who have been touched by Christ, whose lives have been changed and enriched by him, have stories that others are desperate to hear. Just as we would not withhold water from a thirsty stranger, we should not withhold the living water of our experiences with the divine from others. Inviting others to listen to our experiences, we're not telling them what to believe, but showing them how our relationship with the Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer has guided and enriched our lives beyond measure. It would be very presumptuous of me to suggest that you share your stories with others when I have not shared mine with you. I've been worshiping at St. Michael's for over 20 years and have only shared my experiences with a handful of people because I was asked to or required to. You are the first I will share one part with who have not asked me first. I was raised in a church-going family who was very active in an Episcopal church. In my early years, my dad was a lay reader, trained the acolytes, was a vestry member, and served several stints as senior warden. My mom sang in the choir, led Vacation Bible School, and also helped in the church office. I was in the junior choir, the junior altar guild, the Girls' Friendly Society, and the youth group, in addition to attending 2 services on most Sundays. In my confirmation class, we focused on church traditions, not on forming a personal relationship with God. So for me, church was God. In addition, because of the intertwining between church and my family, my relationship with God was modeled on my relationship with my parents. Of my own creation, in my mind, I thought I needed to re-earn their love every day, by not doing anything wrong. No love carried over from day to day. I was basically living in the past, wondering if what I had yesterday I could maintain today. I was also very confused as to how my parents could love my younger sisters, who were not as nearly concerned with obedience as I was. In my early 20s, I knew my father's ordination to the diaconate was closely approaching, and I was worried about one of the questions that he would have to answer. In the ordination service, the bishop asks, "Will you do your best to pattern your life and that of your family in accordance with the teachings of Christ, so that you may be a wholesome example to all people?" I knew that my relationship with Christ was nowhere close enough for him to be able to say "I will" to that question, at least as it referred to me. I had tried watching several Billy Graham crusades on television and even attempted to say the right words. Nothing seemed to happen. I was sure that when something did happen, I would know because of the fireworks and the angel choirs and some other spectacular Cecil B. DeMille effect. I was positive it would never happen during a worship service in an Episcopal church. And so I waited. Then on April, before my father's July ordination, during the Easter service at St. David's Episcopal Church, in a very quiet, unnoticeable to the outside world way, Christ became very real to me and changed my life. From that time on, I live in the present, not in the past, fearing what I might have lost. Just as God's Spirit breathed new life into those dry bones, his Spirit breathed new life into me. Like Lazarus, I left a tomb of the past to live in a renewed life of the present. This living water that I have to share with others, that believing in and following Christ does make a tremendous difference in my life. Your stories are probably very different from mine. You may have experienced a lightning bolt, or a still small voice, or the gradual awakening over time. Just know that your stories are valuable and powerful, especially to those who thirst for the good news. Please understand, I believe we as Christians need the church to grow, to worship, to serve, to be fed, and to experience the unconditional love of our God. But the world needs to know what the current sign outside the First Baptist Church in Hudson proclaims. Struggles are real, and so is God. The way others will know about God is through our stories of our real encounters with the divine. May we use the rest of Lent to explore our stories, to find the words that define them, and to be bold enough to share the living water that flows through us with others. May it be so. Amen.
Amen.